Good morning and welcome to Kerry's Network Business Talk Radio. We are so excited that you have joined us today. We have a very exciting show lined up for you today. Cynthia DeLorenzi and Amy Lee Campbell are going to be joining us today to talk about social media tips that you can utilize to grow your business. And they're going to be joining us in just a few minutes. Both ladies are affiliated with Pink Collar Inc., and you can learn more about them online, and you can also just click on the link that we have in the show description, and that will take you directly to the Pink Collar Inc. website to learn more about it. And Cynthia DeLorenzi is our co-host every other Thursday for Women in Business, and we are so excited that she is going to be joining us today. Also as well tomorrow, Joanne Yao, our co-host, is going to be joining us, and she is going to be talking about an introduction to patents. So if you have an invention or something that you've looked at getting a patent for or considering a patent or not sure if you need one, definitely tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. To hear Joanne. And you can definitely call in as well. You're welcome to do that. And any questions you have for our guests today, you can talk with Cynthia DeLorenzi or Amy Lee Campbell if you have any questions for them regarding social media. And what you can do is either call into the show at 646-716-8610, or you can submit your questions to us through the chat room. You do need to register with Blog Talk Radio in order to do that, and I do believe that this is Cynthia DeLorenzi right now. Cynthia, how are you?
I am fabulous. Good morning.
Wonderful. Well, we're so glad that you were able to join us today, and we're so excited about today's show and about learning more about Pink Collar Inc.
You know, this is one of those topics that I think you can talk about every day. It's, you know, and we always say a topic's really a great topic if it passes the dinner table test. It's something that if you're at the dinner table and it comes up and everybody's engaged in the conversation, you know it's a great topic, and social media certainly has taken that place in America today.
Absolutely, and I know Amy Lee Campbell is going to be joining us in just a few minutes. And I wanted to ask you, Cynthia, because obviously everyone knows that you're affiliated with Success in the City, and that's what they identify you with. But could you tell us a little bit more about Pink Collar Inc. and kind of how that got started and the idea behind it?
A lot of people do not know this about me because I always say I'm actually a geek. I pretend to be a girl on TV. My roots actually come from the technology sector. I moved to Washington, D.C. from Dallas, Texas, and in Dallas I was the CEO of the North Texas Technology Council. When I moved to Washington in 2002, I moved to take over my brother's IT company. He had passed away, which was a tragic loss for my family, and I stepped in to lead his IT company, which was an internet service provider company. So that's my background. So when Amy, and through my role in, I sold my brother's company in 2006, and was at that time running this fabulous networking organization for women leaders, simply in an effort to find incredible women to become friends with. And because women have such great stories. I mean, men do too, but women, just watching what they're doing today in the workplace is fascinating. So in fact, the very first event I ever hosted, Amy was at that event. And her background is IT. She's like me. She's fascinated by social media and technology and what you can do with it and communicating this fashion. And when she and I started talking in 2008, we said, why don't we partner up, because I want to keep my foot in the tech world. I want to be talking about social media. You're so gifted at this. Maybe our combined forces. So it's really, for me, it's my hobby, one of my passions, one of my interests. And I'm already talking to women about social media and technology and what they can do to bring this to enhance their lives and their business. So it kind of just made sense for us. So Amy and I are two wacky girls, and we said, let's get together and create this idea, and it's just been a fascinating journey.
Wonderful. And I viewed the site, and we have a link on the show page as well where people can take a look at the website. It's beautifully designed. I love the way that it looks, and it's just so great use of color, and it's really, really a neat site.
We think that your visual is an important part of your message. That is as important as the technology and tools you used before. Now, I have to give Amy credit for that. I am one of those girls that go, I got an idea, let's do it. And my husband always tells people whenever he hears me say that, whoever you are, hang up the phone now and run. But it's all of these. And she's like me. I mean, we're always when we send back quick notes. Did you see this technology? Did you see this study? Did you see that report? And it's like quick notes flying back and forth between us all the time because we're both so engaged and interested in this topic. And I love to share that with people. I love just to share however somebody wants to use it. Just like Cinch, which is a new technology, which is out there, and you just can briefly tape a simple little vocal broadcast like a podcast and put it out to your network very quickly, for 1 minute, and share a thought or an idea or an interview, a comment, anything like that. But you're going to find Amy fascinating. We just launched an event in our Power Up Success Series, Power Up Your Social Media, that was so successful. If you go to our successinthecity.org website, click on events, and you will see our Stiletto social media summer camp coming up. If you click on the first one, you will see a video of Amy instructing that first class, and that'll give you a sense of how powerful she is. Amy's also an author. She wrote a biography on Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the first women on the Washington Supreme Court. She is an amazing. She's just brilliant, and she's fun, and she's smart, and she's creative, and she's clever, and we just like to cause trouble together.
Well, we can't wait to have her join us in just a few minutes. And also, too, Cynthia, I just wanted to let everyone know, because with you co-hosting the Women in Business segment that we're doing every other Thursday, we have Amy joining us today, and I know we're going to be doing something a little bit different for this month, and depending upon how well it works, probably doing it a little bit more. I wanted you to just kind of go into a little bit of detail, kind of how we're bringing on some of the great members of Success in the City to kind of showcase their business and things that they've learned that could help other women in business as well.
Well, Kerry, I have to give all that credit to you because you came to me and said, Cynthia, since we're having these conversations, and I know you know these incredibly fascinating women in and around Washington, what about having them join us? And I wrote back, I said, it's a brilliant idea. And sometimes the greatest ideas, and always think about this, are sometimes the simplest ones. It's like right there in front of you, and somebody shares an idea. And I always love to give credit back to where these great ideas come from. And, Kerry, this was yours, and I thought, absolutely. So we have a lineup of amazing women who are going to be joining us. One of them is going to be Heidi Cowlett, who is the CEO of the Dandelion Patch. The Dandelion Patch is a retail store here in the Washington, D.C. area. She now has 4. And it's just this incredible story of how grit and determination and guts and savviness and smart can all be combined to drive this compelling story, and how she's used social media in her own business to build her business and recognition for what she's done. We've got incredible women here in Washington, and I cannot wait to share them on the radio with you and introduce them to you. You will be fascinated.
Absolutely, and I know, Heidi, she's coming up on your next show, and I think she's going to be, are you guys going to be discussing the goal setting? Is that right?
Yes. Heidi is absolutely incredible. One of the things she's done and why she's accomplished so much is she has actually set goals in her life. And you think about Ted Leonsis, who is a very highly recognized. He owns the Capitals. He is partners in the Washington Mystics. He is just a success story from beginning to end, and a lot of what he's done in his life is he wrote out a list of 101 goals. His recent book on the business of happiness, another great person. Love to get Ted on the show if we ever can do that. But that's one of the things she does. The other thing Heidi does is she has a Heidi Challenge, which we'll be talking about, which is she challenges people to send thank you notes, and she'll be sharing stories about that as well. So she's amazing. And there's so many more women. We're going to be rocking your world.
Absolutely. And, Cynthia, I wanted to ask you, too, because obviously with Success in the City, I know you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're on LinkedIn, you're on all the different social media sites. Because today we're going to be talking about social media tips for businesses. And I wanted to find out, just you personally, what have you found, to be kind of a useful tool, that's really, how has social media played an integral part of the growth of Success in the City for you personally?
I think for me, social media, it's the first time, if you look back at where we are in business today, just 25 years ago, we could not be doing much of what we do today. We couldn't perhaps reach the market that we do today. Perfect example is Blog Talk Radio, the radio show that you're on here. this could not have happened. You would have needed to be syndicated, to have somebody underwriting the cost. The cost and the barrier to entry was so high that it was prohibitive. It would be just the very few could do it. Now, those gates are knocked down, and we can go anywhere. We can talk to anybody. We can be compelling. But the thing you need to do, it's great that all these resources are available to us. You have to be strategic. You have to make a plan. You have to know what you're doing. You have to think about what is your goal and objective. What are you trying to accomplish by reaching out to people? Are you trying to sell something? Are you trying to tell a story? Are you trying to attract more friends? Are you trying to attract more followers? And I always tell people, and I think that there's always this, because we become very open now as a society. You know, it's like, oh, everybody can know what you're doing. But if you follow just the way I tweet and post in my comments, even though it looks like I have this very public life, I still am very much a private person, and we talk about this a lot. What I really share are comments and thoughts at other people's postings, and I share the things that I believe are relevant. I think people need to be thinking when they come to social media as a public figure. Now, what does that mean? Just think, if you're a public figure and you had a publicist, would your publicist be wanting to talk about that you went out to a bar and got drunk last night with your friends? Probably not, unless you're a spokesperson for a beer or a wine, and you love to drink it so much you want to be seen, or your reputation is your celebrity and you've got a bad boy, bad girl reputation. Not that I think that that's a good reputation to have, but hey, whatever it takes, if that's what you want. But I think you always need to be cognizant and aware of what you're trying to accomplish. And I feel through my job at Success in the City, my job is to help raise awareness of the relevance of what women are doing today. To raise awareness of them.
Okay, and we're going to just go over to the switchboard because I think Amy Lee Campbell is here with us. Amy, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Well, Cynthia is on with us as well, and we're so glad that you were able to join us today.
Good morning,
I was just
Amy.
Listening to her comments. The brilliance I'm used to.
So what?
I said the brilliance that I'm used to.
Well, Amy, before you joined us, I just was doing a couple of quick announcements, and Cynthia and we started talking about social media, which is our topic today. And I just wanted to kind of chat with you for a moment, too, just about Pink Collar Inc. and kind of your role with that, so the listening audience can get an understanding of what role you play in that company.
Well, on paper, I'm the co-founder along with Cynthia, and last month we celebrated our third year in business. On most public fronts, I style myself as the creative director, so I take responsibility for all of the client projects that have to do with branding and marketing, either in traditional media or new media, social media.
Wonderful. And, as I shared a couple of different times, I just love the website. And I've told everybody, when you're listening to the show today, we have the name highlighted so you can click on it and go directly to the website to check that out. And, Amy, I wanted to get
We're very proud of it.
Good. Well, you should be. It's a wonderful, wonderful website. And I wanted to just get an idea from you as well. Where do you feel social media is headed? Because it just seems that in the past couple of years it's really been on the rise. Where do you see it in the next 5 years?
Well, I think that social media has started to level out in terms of which are the more advanced applications and which are the simpler ones. It used to be that Facebook was advanced, and someone like my grandmother would never get on Facebook because it was for the kids. And so Facebook has advanced now where it has different platforms and levels of interactivity where it can meet that novice user's needs, as well as you can deploy more advanced applications for something like a business or a brand. Take Twitter, for example. Twitter has always sort of stayed at that advanced level, and it hasn't differentiated its level of service to the point that a novice user can really break in. Twitter is something where you're in or you're out. there aren't very many casual users of Twitter. And so where I see it going is that new applications that enter the market are either going to have that long-term plan where they differentiate their level of services to try and meet its different demographics, or it's going to have to pick. It's going to have to say, okay, we're for the casual user. That is, for example, Foursquare's business model. They've tried different things, but they know that Foursquare is not something that people are going to use every day. And once they made a decision to go in that direction, they've been very successful with that. I'm interested to see what is going to happen with Google+. We're actually monitoring what's happening with Google+ very closely because Google has a history of, trying to differentiate its level of services and being very easy to access. My experience with Google+ so far is that they're going to have to do some work if they want the casual user.
Mm-hmm. And Cynthia, have you used Google+ yet? Have you started in using
Oh, yeah.
You have? Okay.
Funny, because when it first came out, it's actually in beta, so you had to be invited by somebody you knew. So Amy had her invitation very early, and I'm like, I want an invitation. Where's my invitation? So I was out there, and then all of a sudden I was like calling out to friends, I want an invitation, and then Amy sent it to me, so I got on right away. I agree with Amy. We are actually going to be hosting a conference call next week on Google+, kind of telling people what we think is coming, why you should be there right now. It's actually in beta, and what that means is they're testing out the platform, but they already now have 10 million users on it. That was just since launching the beta, and they expect that to double in the next week. So that is huge rapid growth, and that's going to put some huge stressors on the system too. I don't know, Amy, what's your thought about Google+ so far?
Well, one thing I wanted to mention is that if people listening want to give Google+ a try, they should go to our Facebook page and ask us to invite them, and we will make sure that they get an invite. The invite button is only open to already registered users for a few hours each day. But if you go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/pinkcollar, just give us a post or send us a message and tell us your email address that you want invited, and we'll make sure you give it a try.
And Amy, I was glad you brought up Google+, because that was one of the things that I thought about last night that I wanted to add to the list to ask you about, because even this morning I logged in to promote the show, and I noticed that my Google page, because I was already logged in, it has the thing up there. It says Google+, and it looked like it had, I usually post in the Google bookmarks. I promote our shows through, I think it's iGoogle, and I can't remember the other one, but everything was all on one page. Is that, because I wasn't 100% sure, and if you wouldn't mind kind of explaining, not just to me, but maybe some of the other people in the audience that are listening, kind of what Google+, what exactly is it supposed to do?
Well, Google+ is basically Google's answer to Twitter and Facebook, as well as it has a video chat component. Now, that's not new in Google+, because, Google Talk, you've been able to video chat for, I think the end of last year or the beginning of this year was when, they opened it up widespread to everyone. So the ability to video chat is not new to Google, but the ability to group video chat through Google+ is new. Another thing about Google+ is, I will talk about the interface in a second, the aggregated interface, but there is a feature in Google+ called a huddle. And a huddle is basically a group text message. And so what I anticipate we're going to see is that it is going to be the newest way to follow someone. Once upon a time, it was you could be on an email list, and then it was you could get their RSS feed, and now it's you can follow their Facebook, follow them on their wall, or follow their Twitter feed. And now through Huddle in Google+, you can follow by text message.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that I think is pretty cool, because in terms of, and Cynthia, weigh in on this. I am the kind of person that, I will check in on Facebook a couple times a day, but when I get a text message, I pay attention to it immediately. And
I would agree
anticipate that. Yeah, I anticipate that there are a lot of business users like that is really the call to action. Like, you get a text message, your phone makes a special noise, you pay attention to that immediately.
Wow. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes and how well, people are able to use it, because it sounds like it could be a really, really big thing.
Well, absolutely. Your other question was about the interface, which is basically, I have to say, on a design level, I am not wild about the design of Google's new interface. I was chatting recently on our Facebook page, and I was saying it looks very Microsoft-y.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's
very
not
sterile.
Yeah, it is very sterile. I was trying to find a word. I think that's the word to describe it. It's very sterile. And, yeah, I haven't felt that sense of engagement yet with Google+, but I'm coming this from the belief it's not what it is today. It's what they have coming that's the important story behind Google. That's what the important story is. It's not what it is today. It's you need to be there today because you need to be positioned for what's coming. Would you agree with that, Amy?
Yeah, absolutely. And the next big thing, the thing that will really tell me whether Google Plus is going to take off and be the next, the answer to Facebook and is going to be as popular as Gmail, or whether it's going to flop like Google Wave, which most people haven't even heard of Google Wave. It was such a flop. Is at the end of this month, they are going to open up brand and business pages on Google Plus.
And that's where the story lies.
That is really going to tell me whether or not they are going to be a real competitor to Facebook.
And what's really interesting, though, about Facebook is that Facebook has really positioned itself now to bring on that business component. And one of the things you can see, it's almost become the answer for businesses as an ancillary to their website. It's like, if you're putting it on your website, you should also be putting it on Facebook. And one of the things, if you go to our pink collar page, we have what's a shop on our page. You can actually post products and items to sell there. Now, if you go to our shopping cart, I've had people go to me and go, why are you selling fruit and vegetables? We're not. It's just a sample of what you can sell. But it's really compelling, and we can't wait till we start helping clients begin who have products to sell, help them get that set up. If you're selling it on your website, you should also have that set up and be selling it on your Facebook page. Because people go, it's kind of like there's a trail. If I follow or find somebody, I go, okay, pink collar. Well, where else is pink collar? Where do I find Amy? Oh, okay, Amy's on Facebook. Oh, look, but they also have their company on Facebook. Oh, I wonder if Amy is on Twitter. Oh, Amy's out there on Twitter. So you follow pink collar. It's kind of where we check in. It's the same thing with Kerry's Network. Kerry Network, you go to the website. Oh, look, she's also got a radio show. What is she doing on Facebook? All of those become, they're like supplemental pages to what we're already doing on our website.
And I have to say, talking about the shopping cart, e-commerce has really changed, because it used to be that, you had to have a website if you wanted to sell things online. And eBay and Etsy changed that a little bit, allowed for some personalization, but the ability to sell products and services to a customer without having them leave their Facebook account is amazing. I mean, the startup cost for a retail business, an online e-tailer, is so minimal at this point.
And I think, too, it's probably easier to set up. I remember back in, I guess it was 2006, when I got my first merchant account, and I signed up for it, and I told them I wanted to make sure that I could take payments online. And they said, well, we don't handle that. You have to hire a web designer to do that. So I had to go through to hire someone to, set up the gateway and to do everything. And it was really a nightmare. And I think, you're right. It's changed so much just even over the past 5 years or 4 years. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And that kind of brings me, Cynthia was talking about, where you're finding people, people are on Twitter, they're on Facebook. We each have our own personal page. We each have a page for our business. as far as a business owner is concerned, when they're using social media, are you seeing, Amy, where people are really getting overwhelmed because they're thinking, okay, I've got to have a Twitter page, I got to have Facebook, now I Googled, now, I got to have a page on LinkedIn. Do you find that there's a lot of overload for people?
This is Cynthia. I find people we're overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much coming at you, and it's like picking and choosing and testing what's relevant. A lot of people go, well, I see you're using this, or you signed up for this application or something. Is it because that's what the next trend is? I said, not necessarily. It's Amy and I kind of have a job to do, and that we need to have a sense of familiarity of what we think is going to be relevant and pertinent and necessary to use in your business. So we're out there experimenting with a lot of things. So just because we're on something doesn't mean that we're validating it as we think it's the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like CrowdTap is a new one. It's really where you can go out and you join CrowdTap and you do these quick mini surveys or comments, and it builds up and you earn dollars for the charity of your choice. So I'm kind of hanging out there a little bit, just kind of watching it. But I also find a lot of things become time sucks. And
Mm-hmm.
time sucks are the most dangerous thing we deal with in social media. You can't do it all and be it all, and you've got to stop guiltifying yourself that I have to be everywhere. You don't. And you need to have a plan and a timing strategy. And as we grow, some people now are moving to where they're actually bringing staff on to help them be sure that they're posting relevant comments on Twitter and Facebook and all of those other things. So you've got to make it part of your strategy, but you can't let it become the time suck of your life. What do you think, Amy?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would caution business owners listening, there is no rule that says you have to have a Facebook page or you have to have a Twitter page. You have to first make a decision about what kind of content you are going to put out there and the frequency of that content. That's your first decision. And then take a look at especially if you're not a new business, if you know your existing customer base, find out where they are, because if you're doing things right, you're probably looking for people similar to those. And so once you have those two decisions made, you can start testing your content delivery mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
And the key thing is going to be your analytics. If you decide you have 30% of your customers on Facebook and you want to set up a business page on Facebook, that's great. Do it. After 3 months, if you are not getting the feedback, and Facebook has a free insights platform that will tell you who is viewing your content and then who is then clicking on through to whatever you posted or your website or whatever. If your potential customers are not responding to that, then just stop doing it. Don't waste your time with it.
Absolutely. I think you really need to be thinking about content and clients. And those, and if you're in business and that's why you're there. If you're there for a hobby, then that's great. But be realistic about why you're there.
Absolutely. And Cynthia and also Amy, I wanted to get your feedback on this. For the business owners that are considering, to syndicate, if they send out a tweet, where they're sending out an update and they want to send it simultaneously through Twitter, through Facebook, LinkedIn. And I know that there are some tools out there, like I think Gigya is one of them. What are your thoughts on that? Because obviously if they send out an update to all of them, it's going to be all the same update. The same content will go out to all of those different outlets. Do you feel that that's a good idea, or do you think it's better just to, have something different for each one, or do you think it just applies to what the business owner is trying to accomplish?
Yes, yes, and yes.
I was going to say, Cynthia has heard me give the syndicate versus duplicate speech so many times. She could probably give it herself.
Oh.
Go ahead, Amy. Share your lesson.
So basically, what you're talking about, Kerry, is should a business owner create specific content for each channel? Do I create a tweet that's less than 140 characters for Twitter? Do I create a post for Facebook? And then do I create a podcast and a video? That gets very time-consuming, and you have to know that is what works for you to go to that trouble. Most businesses that we work with, we try and move them to the what we call, which if that is the duplicate, we try and move them to the syndicate strategy, which is what is your A channel. For example, we have a business that, one of our clients is they really have to get their message across through video. Mm-hmm. And so YouTube is their A channel. And then, so once they post a new video on YouTube, it automatically goes up on their website. A tweet goes out about the fact that there's a new video. The video because it goes out on the tweet, it also ends up on their Facebook page. And all of that happens automatically after they post on the A channel, which in that case is YouTube. And that is what, for, I would say, probably, 75, 80% of businesses that we work with are striving to get to that syndicate point where they figure out the kind of content they have to have, and then all the other networks they're a part of just update and drive back to that A channel. And so in terms of tools, Gigya is one. That is, I have to say that I find that in most cases, unless you have a large hosting plan on your website, it is going to slow down your bandwidth to the point that your visitors may not get the full experience of your website. It's going to time out, or it's going to have problems loading content quickly, especially on mobile phones. Hootsuite is a great tool, except with video. If YouTube is your A channel, Hootsuite is not the tool for you. If your A channel is Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or your own blog, I think Hootsuite is terrific.
Wonderful. And, what are some common mistakes that you're finding, Amy, that business owners are making when they utilize social media? Let's say they're first starting out and they're, in the setup stages of what they want to use. And what do you see are the most common mistakes that they need to avoid?
Well, she's thinking about that. I think one of them is that they don't start with a plan. They just sign up. And so what they set themselves up in a trap for failure because, okay, I set up a Twitter account. I have no idea what to say. I'm going to get people following me, and I posted 2 tweets. Better not to even be on the channel than to set yourself up that way. The other thing is that, like, if you set up a Twitter account, if you don't personalize the page or commercialize it, meaning you don't set it up with your logos or your look or whatever else, what happens is that people don't see you as relevant. So better to step back. I think bring in, the money you spend in doing those things is worth the investment of the dollars. If you bring on the professionals to help you unite your channel all the way across, your messaging should be clear from channel to channel and channel if that's the business you're in, if that's what you're trying to accomplish. Again, it goes back to syndicate. What are you trying to tell people about yourself? But that should be a common link among all of those. And then have a plan. If you're not going to follow through, don't do it. Twitter, we certainly understand you kind of get started. I was one of the first users on Twitter. It's kind of like, I don't get it, but okay, I'll sign up. And it was as I began to see the gaining adaptability in other companies, then that's when we really jumped in and became engaged and included that as part of our channel.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would add on to that and just say not only the plan, but plan for success. And by that I mean people are, best case scenario is people really pick up on what you're putting out there and they want to get in touch with you. Chances are they are going to try and reply to you through whichever forum that you've engaged them on. So if I think you're interesting and I want to follow you on Twitter, I might tag you in a tweet, or I might direct message you through Twitter. We had a client who was really going gangbusters on Twitter, and she was about 6 weeks into it, and so we had a follow-up, and we were looking at her account, and she had direct messages that she didn't even know they were there. So people had asked her questions about her products and services, and she didn't even know that they were asking questions because she hadn't really taken the time to think, okay, how am I going to check in and see if people have direct messaged me?
Wow.
I think that's a great one, Amy. We need to do a program on that. I think there's confusion in the back end about using Twitter. I think that would be a great program to do.
And you got to, talking about making decisions about what kind of content you're going to put out there, are you going to put content out there, or are you engaging people in a conversation? And especially if it's the latter, if you're asking questions and looking for feedback and engaging people in a conversation, well, the goal there is for people to give you the feedback, and so be prepared to receive the feedback and act on it. Your job is not done once you've posted or tweeted. That's only the first part.
And I think those are some really good things for people to watch out for. But kind of moving over to Facebook right now, how would you suggest a business owner uses Facebook? Because I have heard that Facebook is sometimes better for business to consumer rather than business to business. And I don't know if there's any truth to that, or if that's just a rumor. What are your thoughts on that, Amy? And I'd like to hear what you have to say about it as well, Cynthia.
Well, I think that B2C, the business to consumer, is definitely the majority of activity on Facebook. That can change, and I think that it is changing, and I'll give you an example. As an open source firm, my primary source of updates from the vendors that we work with all around the world are their Facebook pages. And so that's a good example of them engaging me as a potential customer, B2B, through Facebook. And I love that, because I can follow their I can follow their blog, or I can be on their email list. But in one fell swoop, I can have a list of all of the open source programmers and what they're working on. And I can follow them on Facebook. I can choose to open up just their status updates. I can watch their videos without leaving Facebook. And it's really a case of making sure that if you are B2B, make sure that Facebook, if it doesn't belong as your A channel, I would say that make sure you're not just retweeting. I'm sorry, not retweeting, but make sure you're not just posting your tweets automatically. B2B is a case where in order to utilize Facebook Best, you almost have to go back to that duplicate strategy and post content that specifically works for Facebook. Because, like I said, one of the reasons it works for me is because I don't have to go anywhere else. The information I need, these companies have posted to Facebook.
Gotcha. And I think, too, there's so many different things that you can use Facebook for. It's just like the other day I started using their event, to promote an event. And I was really amazed. You could upload a logo for that. You can type in detail. There's all sorts of things that you can do with that. And I see a lot of people, too, that are using the groups. And, with the groups, I wanted to find out from you as well what your feedback is on groups versus a fan page. Because I know sometimes people feel uncomfortable, I know I did, starting a fan page for their business because they feel like it's too early, or they feel like, well, I'm not really a celebrity, because, the term fan page, you think of, oh, I have a group of fans. What are your thoughts on the groups and the fan pages?
Well, I think what's really interesting.
Cynthia knows a lot about groups. I'll let her answer that, but I would just say the term fan page is sort of going out of use. Now, when you want to create a page on Facebook, it will give you 6 choices. And only one of those is I'm a celebrity or a notable figure. And so it's not just, that's only one type of page. You can choose local. The 2 that our clients tend to choose most are we are a local small business, or we are a company or brand.
Right. I think what's interesting, they're changing, and I think this is what drives people crazy with Facebook, is people become very comfortable with what they're used to, and then these wholesale changes come through. Nobody's really advised that they're coming. They need to be prepped, and they're getting ready to change groups now. So if you've established a group and had it in place for quite a while, that is going to go away, become a new format. All of your previous information will no longer be accessible. You will have to start over again. So I think that's very frustrating to people who follow Facebook, because they've done a lot of work, they've built their community, and now they have to start again. So their page itself won't necessarily go away, but the new format and everything behind it disappears. It's kind of like saying we're going to kill the server and all your data is gone unless you back it up. Is kind of where we're going. Groups, what I like about...
I would say the short... Yeah.
No, go ahead, Amy.
I was just going to say that I think the shortest answer to your question, Kerry, is groups is the answer if it's a topic-based gathering. A business only needs to have a group if, for example, there are only about 8 million of these, but let's say there weren't a social media interest group. Pink Collar could start a group for people who were just interested in that. But if we just want to post stuff for our business and engage clients and potential clients that way, a page is definitely the way to go.
Gotcha.
It's kind of complicated, but there are a lot of choices inside.
Absolutely, and I think there's good options. And I didn't realize that Facebook changed with the fan pages, because I think it used to be everybody got the same standard fan page at one point. So that's nice to know that they did change it up a little bit. Now, moving over to Twitter, what are your thoughts on Twitter? Small business owner, they're starting out, they're creating their first Twitter page. What is your feedback for them?
Well, definitely brand it. Definitely, before you do anything, make sure you've pulled up your brand so people know who they're getting involved. Then have a plan about, before you even start, maybe have a number of posts that you're ready to go. Start creating a list. Read things that you find interesting or pertinent to what you're doing, and don't post the exact same thing 5 times a day. That will, we sell the best widgets. Buy our widgets now. Widgets are great. Do you have one? Make things relevant about, did you know by having a widget you can save money on your refrigerator? Whatever it's relevant to, become a valuable commentator about things, about why your industry, why it's interesting, why it's valuable, why you should have it. Those kinds of things. Don't just say, buy now, widgets for everybody. Those kinds of things really become, what would you want to hear? Just think about, if you were the consumer, what's neat and nifty about what you're doing? What's valuable? What's pertinent? What's related? What's happening in your industry? Make a list of everything. Give the top 10 reasons why everybody needs to have your widget or gadget. So kind of have a strategy before you even start. Ask your friends and customers to write testimonials, what they think about. Invite them to follow you. Those would be just some of my tips, and there are many, many more. What do you think, Amy?
I would point to the way that we as a firm use Twitter, which is, we have had people contact us through Twitter, which we monitor, but our primary use for Twitter is being able to quickly update those who follow us on the newest thing that day, or probably we average about every 2 days, with a tweet. And, for example, I think our current one right now is, I was amazed that Google Plus is still in beta, but a few days ago they launched the Android app in the marketplace. So as soon as I saw that there was an Android app for Google Plus, that was a tweet. I was like, hey, this is available. And so that's the kind of thing that for our clients or potential clients, that's something that will permeate through the media, and over the next month, through conversations online and offline, people will be like, oh, did you know there's an app for Google Plus? That's the kind of thing that I want to be known for, knowing immediately when it happens. And so that is the kind of tweet that people can expect from us. And so a business owner just has to ask themselves, okay, if I want people to pay attention every time I tweet something, what is it that I can be known for tweeting?
And what about the ones that want to get more, they're trying to get more followers, and they're trying to find the best way or quickest way to do that? Because I know there's sites out there like Twello, which is kind of like the yellow pages for Twitter. What are your thoughts on that, Amy, as far as, gaining more followers on Twitter?
Well, I would just caution people that should never, ever, ever be a goal, is just to have followers for the sake of having followers. It just is a meaningless number, and it's a vanity number. And unless you're a celebrity, it doesn't matter. If you have 20 followers and 10 of them are clients or potential clients, then you are an awesome tweeter. And chances are your content will have more impact than, someone who followed you because you had a good description on Twilio. Now, having said that, if you are really considering Twitter as your A channel and you are putting a lot of effort into, I would say it's, for people who understand the news business, once upon a time it was just the AP, the Associated Press. And when something came out on the AP wire, everybody paid attention to it because that was the big thing. And so if you are going to treat Twitter as your company's own, Associated Press wire, if you're going to be the AP wire for your industry, then it might be worth engaging in some outreach and saying, okay, you're interested in X. We're providing X once a day, once every 2 days. Come and follow us.
And I think that is true. I think you're right. It's a vanity thing, and I hear a lot of people ask that. How do I get more followers on Twitter? And I've just found too, just over time, people will start to follow you, because they see that you're providing valuable content. You're showing them that you're an expert with what you're doing, so they're going to follow you because you're providing good content. So I think it's going to take time. I know somebody who has, I think, over 20 or 25,000 followers, but I think a lot of the people that are following that person, they went out and it's kind of like a race. I'm going to follow you, and then they turn around and automatically follow them. And I would dare say probably 80% isn't her target market anyway. It's probably just people following, like you said, for the sake of following.
And the way to check it is really, you ought to have an analytics tool on your website anyway. Conceivably, you could do it through Facebook Insights. I think it's probably best to test it by, once you get a mass of followers, check and see your effectiveness. When you tweet something and direct people to a link on your website, take a week. Let's say you do it on Monday, you send out the tweet on Monday morning. Well, at the end of that week, go back and look Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and break it down by hours of the day and days of the week. How many people did this actually drive? How many people followed my call to action? That's how to know whether or not your followers are the people that you want paying attention to you.
And also, too, like, for example, on my page for the show, once we're done with a particular show and it's archived, because it's broadcasted live, we have it archived on our show page. And for each show, we have, where you can like the link on Facebook, or you can tweet it, where you can automatically click these buttons. And we also have an add this button. And I know a lot of blogs have that too, where you can add this, and there's usually 340 some odd blogs or bookmarking sites. What is your feedback on the add this button? I mean, do you feel that a lot of people are utilizing that? Just in general, is that something somebody should have on their blog? Or use to promote, just to bookmark, for different things, because since that's also kind of part of social media as well.
Yes, and double yes. I mean, it really might be one of the easiest things that people can do to get people to share their content. I mean, it's really about deputizing the people that pay attention to you to share your content and make it viral. And, I equate it to, if I set up a lemonade stand and I don't have any change to make change, how many customers am I going to lose just because I wasn't ready when they were ready to buy? How many people do you get that stumble onto your site and they would absolutely like a piece of content or repost it to their wall or retweet it, but they're not going to go to the trouble of copying the link, opening up their account, and then tweeting it or posting it to their Facebook page. If you make it one click, chances are they'll do it.
Mm-hmm. And I would definitely agree with that. I noticed, too, just with the shows, when we're done, because we do a lot of our promotion after the fact, because we find, 95% of our listenership comes after the show is over. We have a certain amount of people that listen live, but most people tune in after the fact. And I noticed, too, when I bookmark it on certain sites or if I post it in one of our blogs, I see an increase by, sometimes two more people, sometimes 5 more, for each one that we do. So it's definitely, I found it to be a very, very useful tool.
I always say do the work once and post it many times. In fact, when we have our Google Plus teleconference call next week, we're going to record it because you don't know what relevance can come out of there, and people may not be able to join it, but they can certainly listen following on.
Right, absolutely. And one of the last things I wanted to ask you ladies about is the LinkedIn site because, obviously LinkedIn I think has gotten a reputation that it's a great place to go to, for recruiters to find new talent, that it's more business to business. Kind of what do you feel your feedback on LinkedIn is, and how do you think our listeners today could use it to grow their business?
They can't, honestly. LinkedIn it has a lot of potential, but LinkedIn is fabulous if you are looking for a job. Mm-hmm. But there is no single thing on LinkedIn that isn't done better by somebody else. Mm-hmm. And I will say I am on LinkedIn, and, we syndicate our material to LinkedIn, but LinkedIn has never been a candidate for an A channel for us. I've never had a client where LinkedIn was their A channel. I'm not going to completely, tell people to ignore it, but at this time I would say, maybe if you have an intern this summer and you need something for them to do, have them work on LinkedIn. But for a small business owner, don't worry about it. Set up your account and syndicate your content there.
Yeah, you upload your profile, you're there, you have presence, maybe get some testimonials on LinkedIn, but I don't see it either. Especially for entrepreneurs, we're not necessarily looking for a job. It's not a marketplace. And I think when it first came out, it was like the first foray. It was before Facebook. It was really before, it kind of came out the same time as MySpace, but it took a different presence. And I don't think they knew they were going to become the recruiter station, the marketplace for career search that it did. I think just maybe in the last 3 to 5 years is when they really recognized that was their place in the marketplace. But be on there, but I would have to say a daily part of your focus.
Mm-hmm. I think the reason that LinkedIn has any traction is because it's so early out of the gate. If LinkedIn launched today, it would be, Newsvine. It wouldn't go anywhere.
Well, one thing that I just recently did, and I thought, well, I'm going to try it because I do agree with you. I haven't really seen a lot from LinkedIn other than, to get a written testimonial. But I actually wound up doing a testimonial page on one of my websites, which turned out to be better because it gave more traffic to, the people who gave me testimonials because I put their links in there as well. But the groups part, I just set up a couple of groups, one for the radio show and, one for Kerry's network in general, and, just to see how that goes. And, I hear that some people use the groups, for updates for events and things of that nature. So I'll see, if we get any traffic from that. But I do agree with you. I think LinkedIn, it's definitely the place to go. I remember just from my recruiting years, we would use that it was a great tool, and it still is for recruiting and looking for a job. But I haven't really seen anything out of it to make a difference like Twitter or Facebook has.
Watch out for a new play that came out that plays in the space between LinkedIn and Facebook. It's called Branch Out, and it's an app. And if you look for Branch Out, and it's pretty prevalent now on Facebook, it is the tie. It sits between what you've posted on LinkedIn and ties it back to your Facebook. And it's developing this new community that lies between the two that bridges the gap. So it's kind of been interesting, and I, went out and tested it quite early, and so I'm watching it really steadily gain traction. So it's this mid-play, which was kind of interesting, social media, to see this kind of emerge as this play between hooking up your LinkedIn account to your Facebook account. But it's a separate play, but it's an app that lies in between the two. Have you looked at that, Amy?
I saw that, and it definitely had a distinctly LinkedIn vibe about it. And so I'm interested to see how that plays out. What I wanted to say, Kerry, is you were talking about testimonials. We have had raving success with a couple of clients who their testimonials are really what drives their new business. It's that word of mouth. Facebook is a far better place to put testimonials because unlike having a snippet on LinkedIn or your website where you have someone's name and then their company talking about how great you are, on Facebook, that I can actually click through and see the person who's given the testimonial, and that makes it so very real to me. It's not just that you have taken their quote and posted it somewhere else. I have feedback from them that they have posted and have taken ownership of about your business, and it speaks volumes. It speaks, much more about their willingness to promote your business rather than you asking for a quote and then reposting it somewhere. So I would say, in terms of testimonials, not to do it on LinkedIn, but I absolutely get, set up, install an app for reviews on your Facebook page, and I would go so far as to, I think, am I going to guarantee? I'm going to, with my nose wrinkled and my fingers crossed, guarantee that pretty much everybody will have more success with Facebook. It's just a matter of traffic.
Right. And, ladies,
I just can't envision a scenario.
Yeah, no, and I think that is great advice as well, the reviews, because I've seen that button before and I haven't really done anything with it, but I think that's a good idea, too, to kind of start promoting that as well on the Facebook page. It's just something I wasn't thinking about before. But as we're kind of coming to a close, ladies, I just wanted to kind of find out what's coming up with Pink Collar, because I know you ladies were talking about earlier in the show about not webinar, but a teleseminar that you're going to be doing. When is that coming up? And if you could go ahead and give me the Twitter handle again, I can type that in the chat room so that our listeners before and after the show can follow you and get more information about it.
Well, if you go to, we've already got it posted on Success in the City, and if you go down there, there's a little click, and we're going to be talking about Google+. It's a teleconference we're going to be hosting. And you can also, if you go to Pink Collar, just put in Pink Collar on Twitter. You can find our Twitter handle there. So we're very
interested. Our handle on Twitter.
Yes.
And is it Inc. INC? INCK?
Yes.
Right, okay.
INK.
INK, okay.
Pink Collar.
I'm just typing that in.
Right, and just send us a note you want to. We have only a limited number of seats, and we're almost full on the teleconference, but we will be recording it. But we want you to be able to join us if you can. So just send us, and all you have to do is if you'll send an email to cdlorenzi@successinthecity.org and type in Google plus No and Teleconference Call and give us your contact information. We'll send you the login information. We didn't post that out there because we have so many people who want to take it, and we had to limit the number of seats that are available. But you can also then look at our Stiletto social media camp. Amy is the most incredible, passionate teacher you will ever be in a room with. She will light you on fire. She will have you cracking up. You will learn quickly. It is amazing. Go to Success in the City, click on our events, look at our Stiletto, and you'll see Amy in her glory teaching. She's incredible. You are going to want to take these courses, and you're going to be, but not only are you going to be smarter, you're going to be enabled.
Great.
And the first one is next Thursday.
Okay, and I just put that in the chat room as well and the website link for them to take a look at and to register and get more information about it. But I appreciate both of you joining us today, and I know I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our listeners have learned so much. And Cynthia, we look forward to having you back on the following Thursday. And Amy, thank you so much for joining us today as well.
And we'll get
I'm
Amy
really
back
excited
on.
that you asked me. Thank you.
Thank you both, ladies. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.
And again, that was Cynthia DeLorenzi and Amy Lee Campbell, both of Pink Collar Inc. And I put in the chat room information regarding their Twitter page, so you can follow them, and you can also go directly to their website to learn more about the upcoming events. And we appreciate you tuning in today, and as always, we're wishing you continued success.